Yes, spring is upon us here today, and before the break we showed you a home video. It was a question from Norma and Jay about spring fever. Norma and Jay have been gracious enough to join us to talk about spring fever.
Ooh, yes.
Because I love spring fever.
Sounds like you.
Who doesn't? I love it.
Sure.
No, it's great. Now, tell us what your experience is like with spring fever.
We were in a climate where it snows a lot and rains and it's cold, and he was kind of grumpy then. But when the weather changed, oh my goodness, he was frisky. The hands were moving.
Don't you like that?
I love it. I love it.
You want it to be spring all year
the
round.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you notice this change right around as it starts to get warmer?
Yeah, I do. I'm a summer guy anyway.
Okay.
I just kind of like cruise through winter. Around February I come around, spring training and all that stuff, and
So you wake up in the morning, you're like stretching out before you get frisky?
Absolutely.
Well, this is completely normal, and enjoy that. This is one reason why in the high schools and things like that, I start to teach about the birds and the bees and sex ed and things like that, so that they know what's going on with their bodies. Because in a typical winter, when it's dark, and then as the days start to get longer and you start to have those variations in light, the retina actually gets sensitive to those variations in light, and you can actually get hormonal changes in the brain that start. And what happens, particularly with melatonin, is it'll start to decrease, and then your mood will actually start to lift. That's when you start to, do your stretches and start getting frisky, because not only does the mood lift, but the sperm count actually increases. And they've shown from March to May and April, basically that sperm count's going up. That's why the conception is higher. And actually those hormones go, that libido goes. You start to get more sexual energy as well as just energy. And that's when it all happens. That's why you got to explain all those hormones in the spring, because they're just all charged up. And the kids, you adults already know what to do with those hormones. But the kids need to know how to do
That's
it.
an advantage we have living in California, Southern California. We have spring fever all year round.
But let me ask everyone, because the one caution, of course, for those of us who live in a colder climate is you do need to be a little bit more careful, because you don't want to one day be sitting on the couch and then the first day of spring go run a marathon. There can be an increased risk for negative things like heart attacks if you overdo it. So you want to make sure that you ease into spring, get out there and enjoy it.
But that's kind of rare, and so you still want to. It is rare, so you still want to go ahead and take advantage of that daylight, take advantage of those feelings, and get out and have some fun.
and limber up a little bit, because you don't want to pull your back during your first spring sexual escapade. Spring training didn't go so well.
Don't get out of shape during the winter.
Thank you so much for your question, though. That really. Thank you.
And one real quick tip for you and anyone at home who gets into spring fever is go ahead. As winter is winding down, the more activity you can start, number one, the more ready you'll be to get out there and attack spring. Lower risk of injury, but also the more activity you do in the winter, the less likely you are to get those winter blues. I mean, seasonal affective disorder is a very common phenomena. It's a legitimate phenomena. And if you can stay active and frisky through the winter, you're going to find that your mood come spring will be even better.